Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Lacey. I am the owner of Milky Candles and I make videos about life in my 30s. In November, I posted a video that was all about my experience with wholesale or at least most of my experience with wholesale up until that point anyway. If you want to watch that video after this one, you can go ahead and click in the top right corner and just sort of save it off to the side. And I had asked everyone if you wanted me to go through my wholesale contract and actually break down what I have in there, and I got a lot of yeses. So we're gonna do that today. First and foremost, it is important to have a wholesale contract to have a general understanding between you and your purchaser. Now, I've learned a lot of things with wholesale, and there's a couple of other things I actually want to include in my wholesale contract that I don't actually have right now. Like, for example, wholesale is tax exempt, or from sales tax, or putting when I think about it, I have places for people to sign, but I don't have places for people to actually print their name. So there's a couple of things that I definitely want to change about it, but for right now, this is just what I have and what I'm working with, and it's gotten me through a handful of different wholesale orders at this point. Now, in the past, I have reached out to people for wholesale, and that got me one wholesale order, but the rest of them have reached out to me. They saw me on Instagram, or they saw me at a local market and they took my business card. And so that's sort of how I've been able to get wholesale orders. I've had people who have rejected me before and have come back after I've done a little bit of rebranding and are like, ooh, we kind of want to carry you in our store. And I'm like, great, I love that. Just because I didn't fit your store before doesn't mean I'm going to be upset because now I do and I didn't before, So it's about having an open mind. But anyway, to begin, I have a wholesale agreement, just a blank one, so that I can constantly use it and fill it in and make copies of it. I also have everything in my Google Drive for my business email. So any spending records that I have, the wholesale contracts, candle names and descriptions and formulas and things like that, everything is in a Google Drive, and my Google Drive is very organized. So let me go back here. So for example, I have spending records for 2023, that's ready to go. I have Milky Candle items, which is broken down by categories, which would be just different collections is the word I'm looking for. I have candle descriptions. I have my 2022 spending records so that I can have that ready for taxes coming up soon. Budgets, event printouts, organizational printouts, launches, labels and logos, all that kind of stuff. So wholesale is the category that we're going to go into today. When I open that, I have a bunch of different wholesale contracts, but this one is, there is a potential that Local Nomad here in Phoenix is going to carry my candles. So I just typed up a contract and sent it to them, and they haven't signed it because it was recent. And so I am just going to go through that one today. So at the very top, I have wholesale agreement. You'll see that I just keep my branding consistent, even though it doesn't really matter. But I once worked at a nonprofit for a very short time, and they were all about keeping branding consistent. So it's kind of been ingrained in me, even though I wasn't there for a long time. So I have my fonts and my colors that I typically use. The only thing is this logo is not a logo that I use anymore. So it has Milky Candles LLC at the top. It has my business address. Now, my business address is not my home address. It's actually a mailbox. So if you are thinking about starting your candle business, I highly suggest getting a mailbox. Fun fact, mine is through UPS, and they have different sizes. And I have the smallest one because I don't need to get a big one because they hold my packages for me, even if I get a package that doesn't fit inside my mailbox. So I personally just keep the most affordable one for me, especially since I'm still small. So anyway, but they give you text messages and let you know when things are there. So I have my business address there. I have my business email, and then here is where I would put my phone number. I have highlighted here that this contract is being made between Milky Candles LLC and the Local Nomad. So I would swap out the Local Nomad for any other company that I am putting in here. I have one with Ani Beauty Supply, so I would put on a beauty supply. Something else I might consider is putting in like the address and the phone number of the local nomad, or like the address and the store owner or manager or something. Like that could be another thing to put underneath there so that it's very specific to a person in the event that someone approaches me about something, and then I can say, well, so-and-so signed this contract and this is what the contract says. Then we have general terms of agreement, which says, in order to qualify for wholesale purchases, your business must be a valid retail business, and by agreeing to our terms and conditions, you agree that you are such. So I actually just Googled a lot of like small business wholesale contracts, and I took a lot of their ideas and put it in one document because they're all so different. Order requirements. When purchasing wholesale, we kindly ask that you order a minimum of 20 products per order. So that means that people cannot order 18, 17, 12 items from me. They have to do 20 or more. Due to our small business production demands, we ask that you don't order more than 100 products at a time. So I have a minimum and I have a maximum. That is really important because I have other projects going on and I don't want to overwhelm myself. And, you know, somebody orders like 99 things and that's great. Someone orders 100 things, that's amazing. But if someone orders 200 things from me, I cannot do it. The only exception to this rule was when I did a wholesale contract with a company and they had people, I actually created a whole hidden page for them that every candle costs $0. The company paid me like the $10,000 that it would cost, and which was a whole story in itself. It's a PayPal story. If you want to hear that story and why I don't use PayPal, I'll link it up in the top right corner, and you can also watch that video when we're done with this one. And each person ordered a candle that would get delivered to their home address. So that was the exception to the rule because they were ordering like 500. That was a lot. That whole thing was a lesson learned. And actually the contract I had before this one is why I came back to this one and really reworked it. If the buyer does not live within our Phoenix radius and if the entire order is being shipped to one location only, we ask the buyer to cover shipping costs. So if someone is making a large order and they live in Virginia, then they are responsible for the shipping cost. We use live shipping through USPS, so the total shipping cost will be available to view at checkout before processing the order. So there is no flat fee for shipping. If somebody orders 50 products versus 100 products, shipping is going to be vastly different, and someone has to pay for shipping. And since I'm still such a small business, I do not allow it to be me. That's just how I roll. Your company might be different, but this is how I run mine. Live shipping is also really helpful because you have the dimensions of your product and you have the weight of your product, and then USPS gives the customer basically an assessment of how much it would cost to ship, and then they pay that. The other thing I had considered was that the shipping cost would be a separate invoice, and I would send that to them, and once they pay it, then I would ship out their product. But it just felt confusing to have people pay two different places, so I just kept it this way. If each candle within the order is being shipped to individual addresses, like the $10,000 wholesale order that I had, which would be more than one address, we not only ask the buyer to be responsible for the shipping costs, but for any other shipping costs that include but are not limited to the following. Number 1, the product was sent back to our office due to insufficient address. Number 2, product was sent back to our office after being held at the post office for 15 days and was labeled unclaimed. This often happens if the mailbox is full or if they live in an apartment and the USPS driver doesn't feel like where they would leave the package is safe. So then they take it back to the post office. The customer probably doesn't know because they're not tracking their package even though they have been given a tracking number, and then it comes back to me after 15 days of being unclaimed in the post office. Now, when I did that huge wholesale order and 500 candles are going out to 500 different addresses, it got overwhelming because so many candles came back to me. And we hadn't discussed what happens if someone doesn't put in the right address or if a package is unclaimed because the post office didn't drop it off because there wasn't a safely marked spot for them to drop it off. Both of those things happened. And I had to have a lot of conversations with USPS and a lot of conversations with the woman that was my direct point of contact for this wholesale order. And we both were like, definitely didn't think that people wouldn't put their address correctly. So what do we do here? She actually just ended up paying me to send them all to her so that she could have them. She was like, you snooze, you lose. And I was like, I feel the same way. You had your chance. You didn't do it correctly. It is what it is. So, but first I reached out to them and I let them know that it wouldn't be coming because of whatever reason, which isn't something that I feel like I needed to do. I think that the woman that I was in point of contact with should have done. But to be honest, I'm such a control freak. It was way easier for me to keep track myself. So if you do plan on having a large order and shipping to more than one address, it is important to think about these two things, because what happens when that item comes back to you? Something else I would add in here is if the candle is broken, I'm more than happy to send out a replacement, which did happen a couple times. However, if the candle is melted, it is beyond my capacity to send out a replacement. This was it was June, July, August, so it kind of took about 3 months. One lady, her candles were melted because she left the box in her garage in Texas, and the Texas heat at the time was horrible, and they all melted. And that was your bad. You shouldn't have left candles in like 100-degree garage. So I did send her replacements, but I've learned from that. So something I could add in here is, and I might just make a note of it while I'm thinking about it in red, I want to add broken or melted candles. I would do frozen, but frozen it's usually not a problem for me. So for exchanges, we do not offer returns for wholesale, but we do offer exchanges. Exchanges may occur if a product arrives damaged or defective. So maybe like the wick was too short, or I don't know, I don't know. If a buyer dislikes one of the candle scents, we would be happy to exchange them for something more suitable if the candles show no signs of being used. So let's say they got 20 rose water candles and they smell them and they dislike them, then they could send those 20 rose water candles back. I would inspect them upon arrival and, either give them their replacement or give them a refund. Just kidding, not refund, because I don't do refunds, I don't do returns, but then give them their replacement. However, if the buyer asks for an exchange for a different scent, the buyer will then be responsible for additional shipping fees. It is hard to figure out which candles that you like, but at the end of the day, you're taking a chance on a candle company that is a candle that you've never smelled before. Most people will buy candles themselves, like personally, and then if they like it, then they will order wholesale for their business. I have considered creating just little tins of samples to purchase and offering them at a cheaper price for businesses that do want to have wholesale, but that will be hard to determine whether the wholesale business is serious about it or not, because that's still money coming out of my pocket. And then I think for the next wholesale contract, I am going to talk about broken or melted candles. So discuss seasonal, my cat wants in, weather is out of my hands, basically, right? Like, find a fancier way of saying that. All right, payment information. Orders will be placed and payments via credit card through our website. Orders will be placed and payments can be made via credit card through our website. For wholesale, we begin the production of products once the order is processed. Thus, in order to cover the cost of material, we require our wholesale orders to be prepaid. I thought about doing 50%, but then again, it's just like different invoices that would need to be paid, and that could be too much to keep track of. So it's kind of the same way that you would if you're buying something yourself. You buy it and then you wait for it to get to you. Our retail price for cement candles is $29 USD. We ask that when being sold in your retail store, you stay within a similar price range. I don't want someone to go somewhere else and get a $32 candle when they can get it for $29 from me. I don't want someone to go somewhere and get it for $25 and not shop my website. So it's important that they honor the price of what I sell it for. I asked them if they could stay in a similar price range. This way, our customers have consistency with pricing. We occasionally offer 10 to 20% off discounts, and we encourage you to provide those discounts for customers at your own discretion. Now, my wholesale link is not visible to the public. So it says, click here to view and make your wholesale order. So once they click that, all of the candles will pop up and room sprays. And I have 20 of them in stock. So I have 20 rose water. Well, I don't have rose water right now because it's not in season, but I have 20 braided blanket, 20 black moss and cedar, 20 dark and handsome, so on and so forth. Now, let's say somebody wanted 40 of them, then they could just reach out to me and let me know. I could change that to 100 easily because, and maybe I will, because nobody's actually seeing that except for people who do shop wholesale. And then I say, by signing this contract, you are agreeing to all terms provided. So this is where I would actually add names. So I would say Lacey Jones, and then the name of the contract signer. And then it says, if you have any questions, please email milkycandlecompany@gmail.com. So this is my wholesale agreement. I've edited my wholesale agreement every single time I've made a wholesale order, or every time I've made a wholesale connection. And honestly, it's just so important to be able to have. If you have any suggestions, definitely put them down below, because I am not like a perfect person and I change things all the time and I change my mind all the time. So just like you saw me editing it today, just know that you can always make changes and it will be okay. Some people might not even ask for a contract. Some people ask for a line sheet. I've been asked that before. I don't have a line sheet. Basically, it's just like a nice visual of these are the things that we have and these are the prices that we have them at. I like to have the link hyperlinked there because I want people to be able to see what we have in stock and how much each one is, and play with the shipping rate before they make their decision and sign the contract. I prefer that they sign the contract before placing the order, but I will not send the order out until the contract is signed. So since it is on my Google Drive, I will actually download it as a PDF, and then I will sign it with my stylist, and then I will send it to them for them to sign. So if you have any questions, please feel free to put them down below. That is all that I have for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love you, even if you don't love me back, and I will see you in my next video. By the way, I have started an unintentional ASMR channel. It's unintentional meaning I'm not doing any intentional tapping or chewing or eating or crinkling or touching paper or anything like that. It really is just I am doing things, and naturally it is relaxing and calming. So if you like unintentional ASMR, please feel free to click the video to the left of your screen. I'm really excited about it. If you want to join me there, it is Unintentional ASMR by Lacey. And yeah, I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.